The vision is simple, blunt and ambitious: to silence the sound of tinnitus.
Tinnitus has been neglected by medical research, despite the many patients suffering from it. Tinnitus Quest has the vision to silence tinnitus by joining forces between the many tinnitus patients and the researchers in the field.
While we have many ways to treat tinnitus, we don't have a way to completely silence it. The goal of Tinnitus Quest is to completely silence tinnitus, and I think it will be achievable.
After 30 years of research, ultimately there is still no treatment that can silence tinnitus. There are some treatments that can improve tinnitus, but only the suffering. For example, the generally accepted treatment is cognitive behavioral therapy. But if we're really honest, it only improves tinnitus by 10% for 6 months.
This project is important because there are millions of people who suffer from tinnitus, and the federal agencies that primarily fund research have completely ignored tinnitus as a problem. The biggest impediment to finding a cure for tinnitus has been a lack of funding. Tinnitus Quest aims to fix this problem by funding research to find a cure for tinnitus, to bring relief to millions of people.
Well, it is important because ultimately 15% of the total population have tinnitus. 2 to 3% of the total population suffer from it in a severe way. And it can result in anxiety, in depression, in cognitive problems. And ultimately, it's even associated with dementia. So it needs to be treated. For soldiers who come back from the war, PTSD is not their biggest cause of looking for medical attention. It is tinnitus. And these are tough people. These are people that have looked that in the face, yet tinnitus is what they suffer from most of all. So it's not a problem of weakness. It's not a problem of mental weakness. It is a brain problem that can be attacked.
Even if many people suffer from tinnitus, very little money goes into tinnitus research. And this is the case because research money is typically allocated to areas with high success in the past. So, low success in the past means low money for future research. And together, with your help, we will be able to make a change here and to move the tinnitus field forward. I'm confident that tinnitus can be cured. We have understood what is going on when you hear a phantom sound in your ear. The phantom sound is related to increased nerve cell activity. So nerve cells that should be silent fire increasingly, and this causes the hearing of a sound. But this nerve cell activity can be modulated by medication, by neuromodulation, or by training. Thus, there's no reason to believe that tinnitus cannot be cured. It is correct, such a cure does not exist yet. And there might be many reasons why, like the lack of serendipitous discoveries or the heterogeneity of tinnitus. But we have ideas how to overcome these difficulties. We have many brilliant scientists working in the tinnitus field. Thus, the bottleneck is really the lack of resources. If we work together, we can change this and find cures for tinnitus.
What gives me confidence that tinnitus can be silenced is that Tinnitus Quest is bringing in a multidisciplinary group of researchers from all around the world with the single aim of finding a cure for tinnitus. The brightest minds in the world working together with appropriate funding can find a cure for anything, including tinnitus.
In science, you attack a problem one step at a time. You try one medication, not a cocktail. You try one stimulation, maybe auditory cortex stimulation, maybe frontal cortex stimulation, but not a combination of approaches. And this is where I think the future lies. The future lies in the way that soldiers fight a war. You've got the ground troops, the Air Force, and the Navy. And they each use their complementary strength to beat the enemy. And this is how we should approach tinnitus as well, as an enemy that needs to be attacked just like we would wage a war. You have to combine auditory treatments with neuromodulation, with pharmacology, with psychological treatments, and any treatment that we can use in a combined yet complementary way. And we know this works because, for example, in AIDS, in the 1980s when AIDS was discovered, there was only one product, zidovudine, and people lived for 5 years. But then, unfortunately, they died. By adding a second medication that works in a complementary way, people would live for 20 years. By adding a third medication, they would live for 40 years. And now, by a standard approach of 4 different medications, all with different approaches, people with AIDS live as long as people without. And that's why I'm very confident that in the foreseeable future, we will be able to silence the sound.